and welcome to a brand new episode of the Woolly Thistle podcast or Shopcast. I'm Corinne, I'm your host, and I own the Woolly Thistle. This is my marketing and sales extraordinaire, wonderful person, Maggie. Hello.
Hello.
So here we are. It's been a couple of weeks since we recorded. We've got lots and lots of stuff to share. And
feels like a really long time.
It does
really
to me too.
I think it's because we recorded early last time because we had Memorial Day
That's
off.
what it is. So
it's a longer.
So we recorded the Friday before. So actually, it's been 2.5 weeks since we did this.
Yeah.
But we're keeping the
pace has felt the same, I think, for viewers.
For viewers,
for
exactly. We'll do anything for you guys. So yeah, we might be a little bit rusty though. I don't know. We got this.
I just feel like I've got a lot to talk about.
Well, that's good. They love it when you talk a lot.
I've been holding back.
Oh, good. I can't wait. Let's open those floodgates. So before we do, though, let's just welcome everyone. And if you're new, thanks for checking us out. I hope you enjoy it. And if you're back for another visit, it's really good to see you here. Thank you so much. We have lots of good segments again this time. We have Kelsey here talking about swatching with different yarns for the vanilla sweater.
Yeah.
And then we've got wonderful Emma here who is talking about sock yarn from last year's sock bag.
Yeah. Because
we have this year's sock bag and coming very soon. And actually I'll be going live the day this goes live, I believe.
Yeah.
Right. And then we have Kim to take us out with some yoga. So we have a good show for you today. Maggie's got a lot to talk about. And we should just get right on into it. So should we announce the winner?
Sure.
First. Here you go. We have 2 winners, and we'll do the first one now, and we'll do the second one later.
So the first winner is Liliana Rose, and she says, I love the art on the 2022 sock bag. Mm-hmm. Enjoyed the podcast as always.
Well, thank you, Liliana.
So Liliana, you're a winner. A winner of a $25 gift card to the Woolly Thistle. If you can email us at info@thewoollythistle, put prize winner in all caps in the subject line, and we will get your gift card to you.
Wonderful. And I love that name, Liliana Rose.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. Thank you for being here. And if you want to win or be in the running to win a $25 gift card to the Woolly Thistle, you just need to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and leave a comment. We love getting comments, so thank you for that. Okay, so Maggie, what are you wearing today?
I think we need to start with what you're wearing.
Finally, I am wearing my green Victory cardigan. This was a slow victory this time.
So pretty.
Thank you. It's all done. Now let's see. It has bust shaping, but no waist shaping. And I'm really liking it. I'm wearing it today, even though it's super warm.
Yeah.
You can see that I put the ribbon in there. We actually have this in the shop. Or we have ribbon similar to, I don't know if we have still this particular green and pink.
We do carry the green and pink,
right.
Whether or not it's currently in stock.
That's
if it's
what
out
I'm
of
trying to
stock,
say.
you can sign up to be notified when it's back.
Yeah, but it's just lovely, and the green goes so well. Of course, this is knitted in Vams from Rauma, and I need to put another couple of little clips there just to close it all the way down maybe, or just the top half. But you can see how that works. But man, it's too warm. So yes, it's really, really nice. And of course, I designed the Victory cardigan, and we have a course for it, and we have kits for it. And it's not a difficult knit at all. It's knitted in this lovely worsted weight, so not as many stitches, say, as the vanilla sweater. And the construction is like the vanilla sweater in the top, in that it's a raglan. But then we start to change things up as we move down the raglan. We don't just keep going. We start to do some shaping so that it fits you properly and isn't gaping at the back, which I really like. It's a nice fitted cardigan. So yeah.
So I know we've had a couple emails come in about asking questions about the Victory, and since you're wearing it,
okay,
and since you've mentioned that you didn't do the waist
right.
shaping, did you just keep the numbers when you got?
Yeah, so I did the bust shaping, and those numbers stayed the same all the way to the bottom.
Okay.
Yep. And of course it's knitted in the round and you steek. And I did an I-cord bind, an I-cord bind off, yeah.
Is the I-cord bind off in the course?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
These are the questions we got in the
Yes.
email, so just let me
Yes.
know.
So it's an applied I-cord bind off because you have your raw edges and you're applying it. So you pick up stitches and then do it from there. And yes, it's on there.
Excellent.
Yeah. And I've got it on the cuffs too, which is really pretty.
I like it.
Yeah, it's a nice, it gives it a sort of jackety feel more than a cardigan, I
Yeah.
think. So yeah, I'm going to take this off now because it's super warm. Any other questions before I do?
Not that I can think of. I think those are the, while you're changing, if I think of anything else, I'll let
Okay.
you know. But-
All right. So, and then I'll come back. All right. So here it is off of me. And I love the color. I forget what color this is though. What number it is.
I don't remember.
No, but it'll be in the shop, I think, with a number. And these, of course, are clasps that we sell, and we have all different sizes. I might have actually gone too small. I thought small would be cute, but actually I think maybe even a bigger one would have been nice. But anyway, I'm happy with it. It looks good. And it just took me a little minute to sort of get those finishing pieces done, like the ribbon and the clasps. So yeah. So Maggie, do you have any FOs?
I do.
Or whips that you
I
want
have-
to share?
I have FOs and whips.
All right.
So FOs, I finished my socks. I finally finished my Christmas socks. So they're not on the blockers, but
Very nice.
yeah, they're really
West
nice.
Yorkshire spinners.
Yep, that was last year's vintage tinsel.
Very
I did hear
cute.
from somebody in the comments who was like, "Thank goodness I'm not the only one who didn't finish their Christmas socks." So
It's a thing.
you are not. But now I'm way ahead now for this year.
That's right. Lovely.
So those are done, and I did some spinning. So
Ooh.
even though it's not shop related, I bought it. And I think you're gonna like this one.
Yes, I do. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
So this was the spin I've been spinning for my Hap, but it might actually be, it floofed more than I thought it would.
It's very fluffy.
So now I'm thinking maybe a sweater. I didn't bring all of it. There was quite a bit. I got the fiber on a D-stash.
What is the fiber? Do you remember?
It's supposed to be a Shetland.
Huh.
That's what
I mean,
there
it's
was a slip of
very
paper.
soft.
It is.
Two
So-
ply?
Yep, just a 2-ply.
I think
And it
a
is,
sweater
it's
in
nice
this
and
would be
fleecy.
so warm
Yeah.
and scrumptious. It's very
So-
lightweight too.
It is. So I still have 4 more bobbins at home that are ready for plying.
Yeah, you're amazing.
And yeah, so I'm gonna wait and see.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you think that's good for a hat?
I mean, it
though?
might be. What I'll probably do is swatch it and see. Like, it's a little heavier than I would have thought.
Exactly.
I wanted it a little thinner.
Yeah, it might.
Um,
I mean, unless you knit a really big one.
Right. Like, I know that happiness hat.
Mhm.
It's knit with Ram Jam, which is sport weight.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
I figure I'll play with.
Yeah.
I'll play with a swatch and see what I decide. It's just it's so nice.
A sweater would
But
be
it-
really nice.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
So that's one.
Well done, Maggie. I love
That's
the
a
gray.
mostly FO. I knew you would. I knew you would. And actually, like, it felt really, the fiber, I don't know how long it had been in someone's stash, and so it was pretty compacted, so I did a lot of pre-drafting.
Yeah. Well, you've
But
done.
washing it, like, it was amazing.
Yeah.
So it doesn't
Very
smell
nice.
super
Very
weird, but-
nice.
So
Lovely.
those are the FOs, but I've got a lot of whips. I didn't
Okay.
bring them all either.
Wait, are those FOs over there?
So, well, but I didn't, well,
Okay.
I think I've shown these before. We can talk about those when we talk
All
about
right.
sock bags.
Okay, sounds good. So, do you want to show us your whips?
So-
show us your whips. Oh, I love it.
So I finally bought the shorties, the ChiaoGoo shorties.
Did you start that there?
And I did, yes, yes. I think it'll block out, so I'm not too worried about it.
So you bought the shorties.
So I bought the shorties needles.
Is that
and
the red little? Is
It is the little
Yeah.
red. The little
Mhm.
red goes from like size 0 to 3.
1.5
1 and
or
3.
2, something like that.
So it has the 2-inch and 3-inch tips,
Yeah.
and it's in
How do you
1,
find
2,
it?
3. I love them.
Really?
I love them.
Because you're just knitting in the round, no magic loop.
I'm just knitting in the round. My 2-color work. I don't have to. I could just go round and round.
And you don't mind the shorter tip
Not
length?
at all.
'Cause would
What's
you-
really funny? So I'm using the 3-inch. I think these are the 3-inch
millimeter.
And yeah, they're or 3. That can't be 3.
By 3 inches this way? Oh, I thought you were talking about the diameter.
Oh yeah, no. I mean it is a size. It is a 3.25 millimeter.
Okay.
But the tip
tip
is
is
3 inches
In length. My apologies, Maggie.
So That's what it is. No, I love them. Like I feel like it even smoothed out my
It's lovely.
Like this, I'm not too worried. Like this will, it'll still block out.
Yeah.
But you can see like even that turn around the corner.
Yes.
Like which will block out.
Yep.
But man, it's just nice and smooth.
Yeah. It's gorgeous. I love the colors.
And I have just enough like there to hold, and it's not too much. Like I have some 9-inch size ones for socks, and those I feel like I have to hold funny. Not these
9-inch
or 9 set, like the whole needles.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like where it's not really short.
Yeah. The sock little ones.
And I can do it, but I feel like I'm doing that. Whereas these, no, it just felt like nothing.
How about we hold? Yeah, no, I think that actually would, because you've got the fabric to hold as well, and there's enough room to put your fingers there. Yeah. Excellent.
So that's getting some attention and love now.
That's gorgeous. Good color.
It was before I got distracted by socks. It's nice too. Like
She's got a whole cone in there.
I do. I have a whole cone in the bag. But I'm getting there.
Yeah.
I'm getting there.
Are you enjoying knitting it?
I am really enjoying it.
And that, of course, is the tapestry cowl.
It is. And I'm knitting mine in Jamieson Smith. And I've got a cone of 81. I love 81.
I know. It's such a good...
It's weird. I don't know if it's weird to have a favorite color.
No.
It smells the best, too.
Yeah. And it's a charcoaly...
Yeah, it's really good. And then the other one is FC51.
And do you notice any difference between the cone and the ball? Like, do you have to mess with your tension a little bit? Or no?
I mean, like the cone is a little bit more compacted because it has the spinning grease on it.
Yeah. But it's going to wash out. Yeah. And really, I would say the same thing. I wouldn't let that stop me from knitting them together. And then the spinning grease will just wash right off when you block it.
And really, like in the fabric, it feels really good. Like it doesn't, they don't feel different to me.
No, it feels lovely. Wow. So, nice.
So there's that.
Well done you.
There's that.
I still have a whip.
Okay.
Shall I share?
Yeah.
This is...
I'm not done with my whips, but we can look at one.
I'll just insert myself here.
I know.
Because this has taken me forever and a day. I am not finished. So
it's pretty.
If you haven't finished your hap yet, neither have I, but I'm still going. In fact, I'm almost there.
I love, hold it up, because I love that it looks like this big
giant bag.
Amazing.
So you can see there that pink little line on its own is the center of the design, and I'm working my way back. It's so good.
It's going to be amazing.
So somebody left a comment from the last episode saying that it reminded her of sweet peas, and I agree. I think the colors are very sweet pea-ish, so this will be called my sweet pea hap, which is really nice. Sorry, I don't remember your name, but thank you for that. Yeah, I just love the colors. It's bright and happy. It brightens up this very neutral 202, because I was worried that would look, it would sort of pale me out, but these are my colors. I love these colors. So yeah, the rows or rounds are very, very long, but very enjoyable. And it's just a long knit. Oh, and talking of which, we had the cast-off party a couple of weeks ago now, that when you see this, where those of us happing or calling along on our haps had our end of cal party, and it was really great. We did it on Zoom. I got to see everybody's haps, whether they were finished or not, and just chat with the people that we've been knitting along with. It was really, really lovely. So thank you for showing up for that. And yeah, the cal is now over, but we're going to keep the private Facebook group up so that when you do finish, you can still show it. That'll be up for a few more weeks, and also all the interviews will be available to you for a few more weeks as well.
Up until Labor Day, I think.
Something like that. Yeah. Did we write that down anywhere for people so that they can reference that?
I think so.
We might want to.
If not, we can make sure that
we'll
it's
make sure
in the
we
group.
do.
And before we pull down the videos, we'll definitely send a reminder email. Of
They're
you've got 1 week left. That kind of thing.
But I'm so happy with this, and this is just a mindless knit at this point. And yes, there's a few fudges. Let me show you. I went way off piste on one of the corners. Is it this one? Yeah, I think it's hard to tell. No, I don't think it is that one. No. I love the way she has you change colors. I'm going to keep that for all future knitting. Hold on.
I just want to make sure your needles don't go out.
I know. There's one, maybe it's not as bad as I thought because I can't find it. All right, well, if I find it, I'll show it to you when it's finished. I can't find it. But one of my spines on the corner feels like it's gone a wee bit like this.
Oops.
And I corrected it back. And it's a little, because by the time I realized I'd knitted so many rows and I'm not that fussed about it, honestly, because there's too much knitting and I want to keep going.
And sometimes the whole dropping down to fix it, I just make it worse.
Yeah, yes. And where lace is still my Achilles heel anyway, I find that really intimidating to drop down that many rows and then bring it all back up. I would end up just ripping it out.
If it's just straight knitting, that's one thing. But
yeah, I can do it with color work. Yeah, so, okay, so that's that, and that's all I have for my whips right now, I think, that I wanted to bring. I also have a cone in my bag. So, yeah, I've knitted nearly that entire hat using this as the base color, and more than half of it left, I'm pretty sure. Right.
Are you going to do the applied edging?
Oh, yeah, I'll use a lot for that. Oh, God, I've still got that to do.
I was surprised how much I really enjoyed that.
I do enjoy the applied edging. I just forgot there that I had that to do. Yes! I'll be knitting on this and showing this to you for a while yet.
That's
I think. Okay. Yeah. But it's really enjoyable and I'm picking it up without feeling like I have to, which is nice. You know, it's not become obligation knitting in any way.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
So now that your sweater's done, are you just working on that?
I'm just working on that. I do have the, what's the name of the tank top that Marie Wallen's new book?
Oh, Karis.
Karis. I do have a kit for that. But I'm not mentally ready to cast it on yet. I think because it's going to be quite a lot of work and I've got to decide, am I going to knit it in the round or am I going to purl back and knit it in pieces? And I'm actually leaning towards purling back in color work. It can only improve my skills. So that's what I'm contemplating right now before I cast on. The other thing too is I bought the kit. I'm a 42 and I bought the kit and it goes to 42 and now I'm wondering if I shouldn't go up a little bit in case my gauge is tight and get the next size up.
Right.
But I have a tendency to knit things too big for myself. Rarely do I have the tendency where it fits exactly right. It's either too big or too small. Still working on that.
So maybe you need to figure out what's the actual, like maybe measure your, what's the you knit a vest before.
Mm-hmm.
And if you like the fit of that, maybe measure
That's
that
a great
and see
idea.
how many inches.
Great idea. Amazing. 2 heads are better.
There we go.
I'm going to do that.
Now.
Yeah, you can go home.
But that way too, you'll know
that's perfect. That's perfect. I love that idea. All right, that's what I'll do. So, but I'm trying to gear myself up for that because that's going to be a labor of love for a long time. You think this has taken a long time? It will take quite a while.
At least it doesn't have sleeves.
It does not have sleeves and it's beautiful. And I'll be knitting with Marie Wallen's British Breeds.
And sometimes the color work is very potato chippy.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, and it's bottom up. So you start at the bottom. It's just going to be straight up. And then, you know, you get to do all the fancy stuff at the top. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm actually interested. I have not knit a lot of garments in pieces. And usually, you know, I
never have. I usually avoid them.
Exactly. And I remember, it was Amy Herzog who was very much a proponent of piece knitting because the seams and whatnot that you have to create give you structure. Yeah. But anyway, I think I just want to mix it up and I'm leaning towards knitting it in pieces, which is how the pattern's written.
Isolde has a cardigan that I love the look of, and we have somebody who's knit with us before. I don't know if she's still part of the community or still knits with us or watches, but she's knit it's the warty cardigan. And she has knit the warty cardigan like multiple times, like 3, 4, 5 times, and it's seamed. I really want the finished cardigan, but the thing that's been holding me back is the seaming.
But it
never seems to bubble up to the top of the queue.
I mean, mattress seaming up straight edges, fun and easy, not intimidating. I have had to set in sleeves before for the Star Cardi. You do that, and you know, there's videos out there on YouTube on how to do it and you can sort of fudge and make it fit. So that's an interesting technique as well. I think I'd still want to knit the sleeves in the round, but then just knit back and forth for the sleeve cap if you're knitting a sleeve at all. But yeah,
I'm inclined to just do it as a way to grow in skills.
Yeah.
I've never done it before. So
Exactly.
May as well. I know that that's a good pattern, and many people have knit it. And I don't even hate purling, so I have no excuse.
And I really don't mind purling either. And even I've done it in color work. It's not difficult. It's just purling, which I know a lot of people really do hate. But I think I haven't decided because I'm still thinking about it and putting too much thought into it probably, but I am leaning towards
maybe Swatch.
Yeah,
like...
no. That's a hard no.
You're gonna help us.
I wanted to find the size, and then I never get size. Wonder what I could do to help that.
You have to do a gauge swatch on that project.
Do I?
Yes.
Oh. Dang it, I thought the front could be my gauge swatch.
I mean, it might be, but as a person who's had to rip back a whole sweater
multiple times,
you
I'm hard of learning.
You might just want to, well, and then that way too, you can test in the gauge swatch.
Yeah, how it changes.
Yeah, or even like knit one gauge swatch flat and knit one.
Yeah. So just choose a segment, a repeat, repeat, although her things are, you know.
Half a repeat.
Yeah.
I mean, any swatch is better than no swatch.
I'm verklempt. She's right. She's absolutely right. Well, maybe that's what I'll do, and maybe that'll be sort of like dipping into the pool with just a swatch instead of jumping in the deep end. Okay, I'll do that.
That's your assignment.
I'll do that.
Swatch.
I'm gonna swatch.
Yeah.
You watch.
I'm totally intimidated by purling flat. Kristen Drysdale's knitting primer book. That's the thing that appeals to most because she walks you through your skills.
Yeah.
And builds on your skills. And she has a whole thing where she knits. I think she uses slippers as the example.
And your
shows you how to purl.
It might be.
Do color work.
Yes. I have knit a couple of pairs of her slippers and mittens. But the slippers in particular, you do purl back.
Yeah.
Those slippers are really nice, going off track here, but her slippers, they're Norwegian designs or Scandinavian designs, and they're really good for just wearing around the house and feeling cozy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're really pretty. All right, so that's what I'm going to be knitting. Do you still have stuff to show us?
I do.
Let's see.
It's sort of related. So in anticipation for this year's sock bag.
Love that bag.
Thank you.
Ooh.
We still have one or two, I think, of the gray, which are really pretty, in the shop. So
we do have a very special thing in the works in More Harris Tweed coming. We'll let you know more about that. But just to give you a heads up.
Probably the next episode.
Do you think so?
I think so.
I'm not sure when. Are they going to be here in time for that?
Maybe.
All right. Well, we will talk about it when we can.
Little teaser.
Yep.
So in anticipation of the sock bag, so last year my goal was I bought the sock bag and I was like, oh, I'm going to knit them all. There's only 4 socks.
Yeah.
4 pairs of socks.
Yeah.
So last week I decided I'm just going to cast them all on. I had knit one pair.
Fun.
I had knit the West Yorkshire Spinners sock yarn, and
those would make
those
great socks. Yeah.
So I cast on 2 pairs of socks.
Let's have a lookie. Ooh.
So I really like this pattern. Isn't it pretty?
Tell us about the yarn.
So last year, so this is CoopKnits Sock Yeah.
Oh yes.
And the pattern is the Irene socks by Tracie Millar. My youngest daughter is Irene, so when I saw
that's
this
adorable.
pattern, I was like, ooh! And it's got a faux cable. And for
I was just gonna ask.
Yeah, for somebody who doesn't really enjoy cabling very much, this is perfect.
This is pretty.
So Tracie says on the pattern description that the pattern is easy to memorize, and usually I see that and I'm like, sure, yeah, right. But it really is, and I've already got it memorized. And
it's so pretty.
This is a light fingering yarn, so I actually went up to 72 stitches instead of the 64, and it fits well.
Yeah. It's lovely. It's lovely.
So I just love it.
Yeah. And that's not one that we carry individually in the shop. It was part of the sock bag last year, special inclusion.
I love this color though.
Yeah, I love this color too.
I'm very into that color right now.
That's funny because it's sort of pinky.
I know.
But you know, it's tissue.
Like pink. It's that,
if you hold your feet up to your face, you'll be gorgeous.
There we go.
This color does suit you.
That's the color of my toes right now too. So there we go. So I've got that one going, and then the other one I cast on Friday is I just got it started. It is Exmoor sock yarn. I do not remember what color this one is.
This is can I see it?
We'll put it on the screen.
Is it No, I don't
Is
remember.
it Bibble plug?
No. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. I don't know.
We'll put it on the
screen.
Yeah. So Denise of EarthTones Girl released her One More Steps pattern.
Yes.
And so I cast on. And this one also has, it's not a faux cable. It's
It's
like
a real
little-
cable?
little
Look at you
twisty
doing a cable. Is it a
So-
3 or 2?
No, it's just 2 stitches. So you just,
Yep. No cable
it's
needed?
easy.
Cable needle needed?
No, and she shows you in videos on YouTube how to do it.
Yeah.
She shows you 2 different ways. There's probably more than 2 different ways, so I just picked the one that
That's
liked
what
the
makes
most,
cables quick and easy is not having to use a cable needle. It's much faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't get very far on it.
It's
but
lovely.
It's really pretty.
Looking forward to
also
seeing
easy
those
to-
grow.
Yes. So me too.
Yeah.
So no.
Wonderful. So what's the 4th?
So the last sock yarn that was in last year's is Garthenor,
Right.
Snowdonia, and I'm still trying to figure out what pattern I'm going to use for that.
Well, yeah. You're allowed.
So I figure I'll get these done.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes, sock knitting is coming up. We're going to be all about sock knitting very soon. Yeah.
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 Some of us already are.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to join that band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice too because like going out and about, it was
It's
easy
so
to
easy.
just grab and take with.
And not having a big massive thing sitting in your lap in this
Mhm.
heat is good too. So do you have any FOs for us?
I do not. Like I brought these to show.
Oh, right. Let's have a wee looky up there.
So these are my socks that I knit in Vondre.
They look so lovely. Look
They
at your
are
even
really
stitches. Now this is a worsted weight yarn
This is a worsted weight yarn.
and it's Rauma's sock yarn.
Mhm.
And what would you say about it?
I like it. It's really woolly. I think of it for like house socks or boot socks, hiking socks. Like they're definitely, they're warm.
Rustic.
And they tell you to, after you knit them, to throw them in the washing machine.
Just the washing machine.
Just the washing machine. Do not put them in the dryer. They will shrink in the dryer. But they said that the washing machine, and we have the instructions, the care instructions actually on the Vondre product page, just so you can always go back and refer to it. But it says to throw them in the washing machine, and that there's something about the washing in the
Agitation.
machine that agitates it and floofs up the wool. And
So-
it really did.
It did?
Yeah.
You knit this at quite a tight gauge, I would say, too.
Yeah. It's either 4 or 5 stitches per inch.
Which is a normal
Which I think is the
worsted
normal.
weight.
I was aiming for what the ball band said.
Okay. Really nice.
Yeah.
Really nice. I could see these being in boots for the winter and keep your
Mhm.
tootsies warm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So
Excellent.
I just brought those to show.
Excellent.
That's
Excellent.
it.
So let's,
Now I'm ready for this year's sock bag.
shall we talk about
I
that
think we
quickly, or should we go to let's go to
Let's go to Emma, actually.
yes, let's go to Emma, because what's she talking about?
Emma is talking about what socks she knit from last year's bag as well.
All right, and then when you're done that, be sure to come back because we'll show you what's in the sock bag.
Mhm.
And we have still Kelsey and Kim to go, and we have to tell you everything that's in the shop here. So we'll see you in a minute. Enjoy.
Hi, my name's Emma. Welcome if you're new. If you're returning, you probably see me about once a month. And I'm here today to talk about the socks that I made with last year's sock bag. So the sock bag last year was so exciting. I was so stoked for it that this is a true story. I was driving back to Vermont, which is where I live, from Connecticut. I think I was in Connecticut. And I was so afraid the sock bag would sell out right away that I pulled over on the side of the road. Like I was driving on the highway and I got off at an exit when it was like 11:58 because the sock bag was going live at noon so that I could buy it without getting into a car accident. And I am glad that I did because I really enjoyed knitting all of these socks. Yeah, okay, so where should we start? Let's start with the newest ones. The newest ones are still in the blockers. Basically, when I heard that the next sock bag was coming, I was like, well, I better finish all of the socks from last year. And I'd done 3 and I just had 1 more. So we'll start with those. I'm actually wearing today the Festive Doodle by Caitlin Hunter. And I meant to make this as like a full-length sweater, but I knit it at a slightly too small gauge and it didn't have any positive ease. It has some negative ease instead. And I was like, you know what? That'll make a cute t-shirt that's slightly cropped. So I had a lot of leftover yarn. It's mostly hand dyed 100% blue face luster with a high twist, which is technically a sock yarn. And it actually works a lot better for socks than it did in color work. Although the color work looks a lot nicer than it did when I was like knitting it, because the blocking really helped. Okay, I'm not gonna go on too long of a tangent there about the shirt. Excuse me. So the first pair, or the most recent pair, I use West Yorkshire Spinners, Signature 4-ply in colorway Blue Lagoon. And these are the Twizzler socks, which I think are by Bekah Knits. They're free, it's a free pattern. And it's just like a pretty simple slip stitch pattern where you like slip every 4th stitch 2 rows and then you knit every stitch in the next row. And it's free. It's just on Ravelry. I used a shadow wrap heel by EarthTones girl, or it's the shadow wrap heel tutorial is by EarthTones girl, and she'll tell you, she says, I didn't invent this heel, I just really like it, and she made a tutorial. I was very lucky in that somehow the color basically changed right at the turning point of the short row heel. So I did you do the first half of the heel and then you do the second half of the heel, and the whole heel took almost exactly 1 color stripe repeat, and it changed right at the midpoint, which was crazy. You can see it almost exactly matches up there, the blues. And it worked almost exactly perfectly on the second sock. I really tried. It's just maybe a tiny bit off. But it worked. I was excited. Sorry, there's some carabiners hanging from my sock blockers so that I can hang them up easily. But yeah, this is great. There's 4 stripes. These are like smaller stripes than some self-striping yarn, which is fun because you get more stripe repeats. Yeah, I like to use some kind of short row heel or afterthought heel usually for self-striping socks, because if you use a heel flap and gusset, which is always my preferred method, and you'll see 3 of them in the upcoming socks, what happens is that you then have more stripes, or more stitches on your needles when you pick up all those stitches around the heel flap that you're then going to decrease for the gusset, which then makes your stripes narrower in that area because there's more stitches in the sock that you're then decreasing. So I try not to do that because I don't like the stripe sequence to be broken up. And honestly, this was just kind of like miraculous that this particular one, you don't do that for the shadow wrap heel. You don't have any extra stitches at any point. But it was, again, like I said, slightly miraculous because the heel took almost exactly 1 stripe sequence, so the stripe sequence didn't even get broken up in the short row heel on the front of the sock here. Usually you only get something like that if you do an afterthought or forethought, but like a cut in, or you put waist yarn and then you take it out and you put the heel in. You can find tutorials for all these types of heels on YouTube. I usually use the Kirby Warby tutorial for the afterthought heel. And like I said, EarthTones girl, Denise DeSantis, who's been on this channel before, she's amazing. She has a sock pattern with a shadow wrap heel, and she'll also show you how to do a shadow wrap heel just on her channel in a tutorial with both the same color and like using a contrast color. And I use that almost every single time I do it because it's a little confusing to remember. Like long-term, it's not yet in my long-term memory, so I use that video a lot. And she's just like so good. It's really clear. She explains it really well. So that's the first pair, or the last pair. So we're gonna go in reverse chronological order. This is the second most recent pair I made. I made this with CoopKnits Sock Yeah. And this is a pattern, I just designed these. I am designing socks this year, so you may get to see these in various other woolly thistle yarns. I'm designing, if you follow me on my channel, which is called Tiny Desk Knitting, you can sign up to test knit all my socks. They're all based on Jane Austen characters. And this is actually the pair that's named after me. Well, I'm named after Emma Woodhouse, but I named these socks after myself. It's just a panel lace with a little mock cable down the sides. And it's plain on the back. As you can see here, I did use a heel flap and gusset. Just slip stitch heel flap. There's the gusset. So you can see there were more stitches and I decreased there along the edge of the gusset. And then you knit the foot. Same thing, no pattern on the bottom of the foot. Round toe. not a round toe, I do a wedge toe, which is what most people do. I think you just decrease at 4 points kind of around the edges of the toes. That's like my normal thing. So this is CoopKnits sock, yeah. CoopKnits sock, yeah. Oh, I didn't say this. West Yorkshire Spinners is also 75% wool and 25% nylon, and it's 35% Blueface Leicester. That might be 5% of the wool content. Regardless, Blueface Leicester is really soft. CoopKnits Sakya is also 75% wool and 25% nylon, so it's got some strength, just like West Yorkshire Spinners. It's very smooth. It's very thin. I actually added 4 stitches to these socks than I would have normally cast on because I just wanted to make sure that someone's foot would fit inside of it. So I would recommend for this yarn using a really stretchy cast on. Don't use like a tight twisted rib I found was too tight for this. That's what I tried. So I just did like a loose, basically it's almost a 2x2 rib, but I altered it a little bit to fit the pattern. As you can see, there's like 3 stitches there, and yeah. I would also recommend doing a pattern that has like some natural stretch in it. Lace has some natural stretch. Ribbing patterns have some natural stretch. If you're just concerned because your 75-25 base is like a little, you find it a little thin, maybe than socks that you normally knit. Okay, so 3rd pair. This is the Exmoor sock yarn from John Urban. I have an example here of a real skein, a full skein. Exmoor sock. You can usually get Exmoor sock at the Woolly Thistle. They usually keep it in stock. I mean, unless it's out of stock for some reason. I think they keep it as just a regular sock yarn. These are the Petty Harbor socks, and I can't remember who they're by, but it's a free pattern. It's a really simple texture pattern, super easy to memorize. There's 2 of them. Again, heel, flap, and gusset. I made these socks for my friend who is a male, so he has larger feet. So they fit great. They're really woolly. He's also a knitter, so he doesn't really mind. But like, definitely, if this is a woollier yarn, I would say people might say it was itchy compared to like CoopKnits Sakya or West Yorkshire Spinners. But I think the foot is not usually a very sensitive area because it's like pretty calloused because it's in our shoes all the time. So I feel like maybe that's a good place to start people on the woolly yarn train. Or just like knit this for yourself or another knitter who appreciates wool. This pattern, again, like I said, is free. It's on Ravelry. It's in my blog post. If it's not in, it's somewhere. You'll be able to find it. It's called Petty Harbor. Again, I actually knit a couple of tries of this yarn with other sock patterns, and I had the same, excuse me, I have hiccups. Same kind of issue as I did with the Sakya. It was a little too thin for twisted rib, which I tried twice and it didn't work either time. So that's why I cast it on 72 stitches, in fact, and knit this for my friend who's a guy because I was just like, I'm sick of my foot not fitting into this. I'm just gonna go big or go home. Socks. Exmoor sock yarn. Let's talk about this because I actually have it in front of me. It is 50 grams, 200 meters, 4-ply. Beautiful label. If you follow this channel, we spend a lot of time admiring yarn labels and smelling yarn. This doesn't smell like, not really, maybe a tiny bit like sheep, but sometimes. So this says, embracing the characteristics of our local Exmoor sheep as a durable, machine washable yarn. So machine washable. In an array of North Devon inspired shades. So John Urban's mill is in North Devon. So it's 60% Exmoor Blueface, which is superwash treated, 20% Cordale, superwash treated, 10% Zwartbles, not superwash treated, but I think because it's only 10%, you should be okay, and then 10% nylon. Don't put this in the dryer. I wouldn't put any of your hand knit socks in the dryer, just as a word of warning, because they'll wear out a lot faster. But yeah, this color is called Mackerel Sky. It's kind of like a murky turquoise a little bit. The murkiness comes from this Warp Bliss yarn, which is it's like the color of Hebridean yarn. It's dark, very, very dark brown. And the John Arbon folks use that a lot as just like a little, basically to add murkiness to yarn, and it's so beautiful. This is worsted spun. All of these yarns are worsted spun. And yeah, it's pretty woolly. Like, it's not super springy. One thing, yeah, it's not. That's why I think I had trouble with it stretching across twisted rib. So I would say don't do a super tight cuff for this, because it'll be hard to get over your ankle. But I really liked knitting with it. You can get it in 50 gram skeins if you want to do some contrasting heels, toes, and cuffs. Yeah, super nice. I'm a big fan of John Arbon. So the last pair is Garthenor Snowdonia sock, which is 100% wool. This yarn, or excuse me, these socks, these were the first ones I made. I saw this and I was like, I gotta make those like with that yarn now. And I did. I cast them on right away. And oops, that's the jog. Let's show the other, also a jog. There we go. No jogs, because these are striped. So the Snowdonia yarn, Garthenor Snowdonia, is the dark brown here, and it's kind of marled almost with like a slightly lighter brown. So I was living with my parents last summer. I was a nanny last year, which is why I started my channel Tiny Desk Knitting, because I was recording in a tiny desk. And so my mom has all this random stash yarn, not as much as I do, but she has a lot of random stash bits and bobs from like hats that she knit 10 years ago, and you know, she just keeps them. And so nothing has a ball band. We don't really know what anything is, but her memory's pretty good. So for, you know, yarn she knit 10 years ago. So I asked her what this was, and this kind of like taupe mushroomy color. And she said, I think it's Shibui sock, which is, I looked it up. It's no longer made, although you can get camp color yarn from Shibui, which is the same base. It is also 100% wool, but it's much more of like a traditional sock yarn with just like a high twist. It looks like an 80-20 if you're used to knitting with superwash yarn. But I just thought that the color really picked up the lighter flecks in this Snowdonia skein. So I striped them and I made, these are the Hello Sailor sock set by Summer Lee. What's the sock? Broken Rope socks. So the Hello Sailor sock set has like 4 patterns in it, and it's a really nice actually set. I would definitely recommend it. There's a cabled sock, this one which is kind of ribbed, and then this one again but in DK, which is great. And then there's a textured one, and they're really nice. I'm a big fan of Summer Lee's little sock sets that she does. And you can, you know, she gives you some advice on how to stripe and what to do. And so this is a really simple texture pattern, but you kind of make it fun with the stripes. And so I didn't even do like normal ribbing. I just started right in with the pattern and the stripes, and I striped it all the way down to the toe with the pattern across the front because I was enjoying the stripes so much. So striped socks are fun. I would definitely recommend, as I did, carrying up the yarn you're striping so that you're not weaving in like 16,000 ends. But yeah. And I've actually worn these socks a lot, and you can see that there's very little wear. They're kind of like almost a little fuzzy felted on the bottom, which is good. They're holding up. They don't, like, I can tell the difference because it's a little lighter in the spot where I've walked on it compared to the top, but otherwise they look pretty good. Sorry, I'm trying to hold things still a little longer. I think people like that. I don't know if it'll focus. I think I have to come back a little bit. There you go. So I also have a skein of this. Oops, there it is. This is called Glassland. I don't know if I'm saying that right. That's probably a Welsh word because Snowdonia National Park is a national park in Wales, and Garthenor Mill is in Wales. And it says grown in South Wales, the Scottish Highlands, and Southwest England, scoured and spun in Yorkshire, and hand finished in West Wales. This is also obviously a fingering weight sock yarn, about 200 meters, so same as John Arbon's. But you can see this is a lot plumper than this. This is a lot like thinner in the skein. Sometimes yarns just look different based on the twist, how they're spun. the content. So this is 90% Romney and 10% Hebridean. So that's, again, the tiny little bit of basically what makes it gray is the Hebridean, because otherwise it would just be kind of a cream color, which is what Romney looks like naturally. This is organic wool. It's 100% wool. It's not, there's no nylon in this one. So, but yeah, I think you can also get this at the Woolly Thistle most of the time, as long as they're not out. They have colors of Snowdonia now. They dye this base. Before it was just naturals, but now it's also dyed, and I'm super excited about that. I could not find any when I was in England, which is where I got this. I could only find the naturals, so I just said, okay, I'll get the naturals again, not a problem. I have plenty of colors of sock yarn, but yeah. You can probably get the colored shades at the Woolly Thistle, although they may not have all of them in stock. You can probably check those out and see what's up there. So I'm super excited for this year's sock bag, and you will see me regularly this year talking about what I made with those socks, or with those sock yarns, and what socks I made with those yarns, and I'm very excited. So I hope you're as excited as I am for the sock bag this year, and yeah, can't wait to see what everyone makes. So thanks for watching. Bye.
Thank you, Emma. I hope you enjoyed that segment. Emma's got such great energy, and I love seeing the socks that she knit last year. There's also a blog post on the shop right now that you can go and see, where there's photos of the socks that she knit. Yeah, linked to patterns as well if you're looking for the patterns.
Some really good inspiration there, and maybe if you like what she's knitting with last year's, you could knit that with this year's, which, by the way, we have them, and these are going on sale today. Is there a time that is going on sale, or will it be on sale already?
It'll be on sale already.
It'll be on sale, so pause and go get your bag if you are so inclined. This is gorgeous. Maggie, do you want to tell us about the artwork?
So the artwork, we've had some questions about it. The artwork was done by a artist and graphic designer who is actually my cousin.
Keeping it in the fam.
Yeah, we were looking for a graphic designer, and I reached out to her and asked her, could she do that? And she's like, well, yeah.
She's done a great job.
She's done a great job. She's done a number of designs for us at this point, and we're just really happy. And her name is Christine Thibodeau. She's Canadian. And
we'll put her Instagram.
Yeah, we can put her Instagram there, where she shares some of her artwork.
Yeah, so that's where we are getting these images from for the bag. And so let's talk about what's in the bag, Maggie.
Yes.
It's a nice big bag. It is not gusseted. Somebody asked that in the comments. So no, it's just 2 sides, but it's a good size.
It is a good size. I really like this bag. So far too, everybody in the shop, when they've seen it, they've been like, ooh, this is a good size.
It is a good size bag. Oh, we love. We're going to do that crinkly package thing, but hey ho. All right, so first up,
Daughter of a Shepherd.
Very special, brand new. We're launching this sock yarn for Daughter of a Shepherd. It is not available anywhere except in this bag from the Woolly Thistle. Of course, she will be making more and launching it herself.
I keep sniffing it, like literally throughout the day in the shop. I walk by. You just smell it just walking by.
It's so nice. Amazing. And there's 3 colors. You've got the sort of middle color. I've got the light gray. And here we've got the darker.
Yeah.
All of them are just lovely.
I've got one here. Okay. Sorry.
So, yeah. So, and then you've
So
got
good.
the middle one if we hold them. So you will get 2 skeins of the same color, but you know, it'll be one of these 3.
Yep.
Really nice. Really, really nice.
So good.
It is. It smells delicious.
It does.
And it is 90% British wool and 10% nylon, 4-ply weight, 182 yards per 50 gram skein.
Yes. And the British wool is a mix of Hebrideans, Warples, and Exmoor blue paste.
Correct. Yeah, it says that right on the label. And they've got, each color has a very hard to pronounce name based on the hills in the Yorkshire area that Rachel lives. And I interviewed her. That was that on the last episode?
That was on the last episode.
Yeah, and she was really lovely to talk to. So if you haven't seen that, go check it out, because she is lovely. And she tells us all about how Daughter of a Shepherd got started.
Yeah.
And she actually started the same year the Woolly Thistle started in 2016. So I
It
feel
was
like
really interesting hearing about the Hebridean sheep.
Yeah.
And it's a good interview if you haven't seen it. Check it out.
Oh, now we've got this here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh! So this is a superwash yarn, and it's from Jagger, and it's their sock yarn, and it's Muslim Falls.
Mm-hmm.
And we have several colors of this. If you check out our Instagram or go on to the shop, you'll see all the different colors.
There's a lovely little rainbow.
Oh yeah, it's
It is
juicy
just gorgeous.
and summery. I use juicy way too often, but I do love that saturated kind of yum. This one's called Persimmon. So there's several different colors, maybe 6 or 7, maybe 6, 5,
6 or 7,
something like that. And again, we will decide on the colors because that's part of the fun. Yes, so here we've got 100 grams, 435 yards, 100% superwash wool.
Yes.
Lovely.
I will say too, we had a sample cake that I was looking at, and I was really curious. And this is actually it has 4 plies. It's a 4-ply.
It's an actual
sock
4-ply.
yarn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
Amazing.
good. That'll
Like,
go
they're
towards the
the-
strand.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And in fact, do you want to show?
I do want to show this. So we had a sample knit of the Agathas in this sock yarn.
It's so nice
I
to
moved
see
them.
the Agatha again.
Those stitches, they're just so nice and crisp. And
Yeah. And this is in the Muslim
gorgeous.
Falls,
Mm-hmm.
which is
So that's one of the color possibilities.
very pretty.
In the sock bag.
And just, yes, the Agatha sock was my first ever design, knitted by none other than Stephanie Paul McPhee. I nearly
that had to be a
choked.
moment.
It was. I woke up and I saw that she had purchased a pair back in 2016. I was beside myself. I'm like, is that her? Is that her? Is that her? Oh my God.
And girly.
I know. She knitted them in
And
West
how
Yorkshire
did you?
Spinner's, West Yorkshire Spinner's signature 4-ply.
Nice.
Anyway,
Anyway.
it's a fun design for an adventurous beginner at least.
Yeah.
But I am
They
planning on making a course for that as well, because I think that might help people, get through it if they're new to sock knitting or new to some. There's just little jogs in the repeats that you have to move your stitch marker, and that can be intimidating.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing about it. Yeah.
As long as you keep track of that, you're good.
Yep.
Okay.
So lovely. And
So
Marie
this-
knitted those. Thank you,
knit those.
Marie.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Beautiful. Okay,
So,
so
just one idea. And actually, if you're looking for ideas for your
oh yes,
yarns, the bag does come with a pattern suggestion card.
which include free patterns as well as paid for.
That's right.
So
So the
you can-
patterns don't come in the bag, but we have suggestions for you, and you can head to Ravelry and pick up whichever one you like,
Yep.
or find something different.
Yep. So that's good. You can get your bag and get knitting right away.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you've got your needles. Okay, so and then we've got Monbeam,
Mm-hmm.
and I just always enjoy how this yarn feels in the hand. It's so substantial and meaty,
Yes.
and it's 100% wool. Let's see. What does it tell us? 100 grams is 421 yards, 100% Portuguese wool.
Yep.
Taken from their heritage breeds, as traditional Portuguese sheep's wool that this all comes from. And they're really doing a good job there.
I know some people get nervous about knitting with 100% wool.
Mm-hmm.
I've knit 2 pairs of socks they lasted I think 3 years with regular wear before I got any kind of little hole
There you go.
in the heel or toe, and they mended so well.
Yeah.
And I'm still wearing them.
Yeah, just keep your leftovers
Mm-hmm.
and you can darn them, or just, what did you do? Was it your toes that went?
It was my toes that went, and I just cut the toe off and re-knit the toe.
Perfect. Great idea.
Yeah.
If it's the heel, you might want to do some darning.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's in there, and we have all the speckly, self-stripey kind of yarns going in the bag. So you
I'm
get
looking
one
forward
of
to
those.
knitting with this one again.
Yes.
And these do stripe.
Yes.
I looked for, maybe we can put a picture in of how they stripe, but I was going to bring mine in because I knit one in a similar
This is
colorway.
lovely.
And they're really fun and stripey and speckly, and
Yep.
it's a great yarn.
But they do have some speckled yarn that doesn't stripe.
Yes.
Right, but that's not this. This
Right,
all
like
be
that one
striping.
especially will stripe.
And then we've got the Rauma.
Yes.
Sorry for the crinkling, had to say it. Rauma Vams, which is the socks that we just showed you that Maggie had knit before.
Yeah.
And you get 3 balls of this, 2 main color, 1 contrast for heels and toes.
Yes.
You need 3 balls to finish a pair, unless you have tiny feet.
I managed with 2.
Yeah, I probably would as well, but just in case,
Yeah.
there's 3. That's a pretty combination.
No, I like this one. I
Yeah.
like that rosy.
Yeah, it's a nice blue too.
They're all good.
Yeah, so you get that as well. So you get enough yarn for 4 pairs of socks, and only, strangely enough, only the Drover from Daughter of a Shepherd has any nylon in it. Otherwise, it is 100% wool, and we've got worsted weight, and then we've got 4 ply.
Yep.
We've got yarns from Norway, England, Portugal, and the United States, which is great to represent.
Yeah.
So it's a nice, lovely variety, and it's a
really
great
is.
price.
It is.
What else do they get? They get the bag, they get the pattern
bag.
suggestions,
And they get
this is nice.
a little set of darning needles.
Yeah, it's not so little. It's quite good. You won't lose this in the bottom of your bag and never
No.
see it again. And it comes in
It's
this
funny,
little
I
case.
said that exact same thing because I have, like a little notions
Yeah.
bag and I'm always chucking my needle in
Yeah,
and then it goes to the bottom and I can't find
can't
it.
find it. Yep. So that will be nice. So you get that in there as well.
Yeah.
And the bag. And yeah, so we are excited about this. And hopefully you are too, and that you're rushing over. Now we have birds. I've got the window open today. Hopefully you are rushing over to make your purchase, and we have our sock cowl starting in a few weeks as well.
Yes, that starts, I want to say the 15th.
So about a month, 4 weeks away. So you've got enough time to get your socks and ducks in a row, whether you go with this or whether you go with something from Stash, that's fine too. It's a 2-week cowl. We've done it for a couple of years now, and it's a sprint. Basically for 2 weeks you knit a pair of socks. Any kind of sock you want, any weight, we don't care, any yarn, but getting the
We do usually say adult size socks.
adult size socks, yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, adult size feet are going to have a range of sizes, so
Yeah.
we don't police it. It's about knitting together. But
It is. It's about knitting together. I don't think we do prizes or anything. It really is just about, in the heat of the summer, being with your peeps who also want to knit in the heat of July.
yeah, it's just a fun little challenge to see how quickly you can knit a pair of socks.
And so there's always people who knit 2 pair or a pair and a half
or more.
or more.
There's always somebody who 2 days in is like, I'm done.
And there's always people who say, I'm never going to get this done in time. And that's okay.
It is, both are great.
We just want to knit with you.
Yeah.
So that is very good and exciting. And I think before we talk about what else we have to show you in the shop here, because we have some good stuff, let's go to Kelsey. And what's Kelsey telling us about today?
So Kelsey has explored gauge swatches with the vanilla sweater in mind in a variety of yarns.
Yes, to see how different yarns react at that gauge.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
It's a fun little exploration, so enjoy.
Let's go and explore with Kelsey.
So one of my favorite things to do is actually to swatch with yarns that are different weights or different fibers or different styles of yarn than are called for in the original pattern, to see if I can get a fabric that I like for the pattern that I want to knit. So inspired by Emma and the vanilla sweaters that she's knit, and actually the vanilla sweaters that I've seen many of you knit in different yarns, I wanted to check out a few more of the Woolly Thistle's yarn options to see what would work with a vanilla sweater gauge. So I was inspired a bit by Emma and her discussion of the different vanilla sweaters that she has knit in the past few years and the different yarns that you can use to make a vanilla sweater. So I embarked on a bit of a swatch journey, I guess, and I started with the Fiddlegarn. So this is the original yarn that the vanilla sweater was designed for. I knit a swatch in the round, that's why I have all these tails, because the vanilla sweater is knit in the round. So you want to make sure that you're getting the right gauge for all of your rows being knit and not half of them being purl. If you're doing a flat swatch, your row gauge could be your stitch gauge and your row gauge could be different if your knit stitches and your purl stitches are formed a little bit differently. So the most accurate swatch is going to be, if you're knitting in the round, if you're knitting your project in the round, to also knit your swatch in the round. So this is the fennel yarn. I did get the pattern gauge of 20 stitches across 4 inches. I got 29 rows, which is a little bit bigger of a stitch than the pattern calls for. So it calls for 30 and I got 29. I'm not terribly concerned about that because the row gauge is going to give you a different length, and having a slightly longer yoke for me is not going to be a problem. If it was, you know, if I was getting 25 rows or if I was getting 35 rows instead of 30, I might think about changing my needle material or something else, but often you can correct for some issues you have in row gauge. I like to do a bit, this is how I keep track of what needle size I used. So I do yarn overs and knit 2 togethers at the end of my swatch. So in this one I used a US 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you can see the fabric is really, really drapey. It's really soft and loose. It's not necessarily opaque. You can't really see my hand through it unless you really are looking or you're stretching it out. But it just makes a really nice drapey fabric. So from the fennel yarn and a fabric that looks like this, I decided to try Tuku wool. So this is Tuku wool fingering. I also knit it on a US 7. I knit it, it actually came out to be 21 stitches and 31 rows. So it's a little bit finer, which is understandable because the yarn itself is a little bit finer. You get more yards to the gram or to the 100 grams than you do with the fennel yarn. But I still really like the fabric. It's still really drapey. I don't think it's too translucent, but that's up to you. That's personal preference. If you think, you know, this is too, it's not see-through exactly, but it's definitely loose, and it's definitely feels a little bit looser than the fennel yarn if you look at them sort of side by side. But most people wear a vanilla sweater as an over sweater. You're wearing a tank, you're wearing a t-shirt, you're wearing something underneath, and I'm not going to be concerned about this kind of fabric on my arms if I'm wearing something underneath. So after that, these 2 yarns are actually very close together, and I would recommend them as subs for each other for a lot of projects. So that was pretty much a no-brainer. The next one I swatched with was Jaggerspun. Jaggerspun is definitely lighter weight than both of them, but then both fennel yarn and Tuku wool. It is also a worsted spun yarn, so the yarn itself is a bit smoother. It doesn't fill in the gaps quite as much, but it still makes a really nice fabric. And you can see all the heathering in the colors. You can see sort of blues and greens and things. I knit this one on a US 8, so a slightly larger needle, because to get the stitches I needed with a finer yarn, I wanted to go up a needle size. So it makes sense that those holes are a bit bigger. Because if you think about it, your stitch gauge is going to be the sum of the yarn, each little strand of yarn, and the holes in between it, the holes that it makes in between. So sometimes when you go with a finer yarn, you actually have to go up a needle size to get the same gauge as you would. So still very drapey, still a really nice fabric, still very similar to these 2. And I think it's a great option. It's also pretty economical because it comes in 100 gram skeins and has something close to 500 yards. So it's a pretty good way to make a nice summer weight, lightweight, breezy, but still 100% wool vanilla sweater. Here's one. I actually got 21 stitches and 28 rows. So it's a little bit of a different gauge. I don't know if I'd worry too much about the 21 versus 20. It depends how close you are to the size that you want and how tight you want to control the ease that you have. The ease in the vanilla sweater is built in to be 3 to 6 inches, give or take. So you do have some wiggle room for that extra stitch. You may want to go up a size if you're going if you want a lot of ease, that's a possibility. But otherwise, I think it's knitting pretty close to what you want. This is Blacker Lioness. Blacker Lioness is a 50-50 wool linen blend. So that's why it does, if you look at the strands especially, it does have a little bit of a grassy appearance. It doesn't feel grassy in the fabric. These are all block swatches. And it doesn't feel like, if you've knit with 100% linen, it feels really grassy or like twine or hemp or straw. Any of those kinds of feelings. This doesn't have that because it still has that 50% wool that gives you that nice woolly feeling. And that's also why it's still filling in pretty well. If you compare it to the Finalgarn, it's a little shinier. It's a little bit different, but it's still a pretty similar looking fabric if you're looking at them side by side. In Lioness, I also got 21 stitches. I did get 32 rows, so my yoke would be a little bit shorter. It's just the nature of the material. Sometimes different fibers will give you more or less in your row gauge. And I actually knit this one on a US 6. So it's a slightly smaller needle than I knit the Finalgarn, but you end up with a pretty similar drapey kind of fabric, but you do have that linen, so it's a nice kind of summer weight option. So then after looking at a bunch of fingering to sport weight yarns, I went a little bit off piste. I wanted to see what you could do with a thicker yarn. Strickagarn is a DK weight Rauma yarn. It's 100% Norwegian wool. I knit it on a US 5, and I actually got pattern gauge. I actually got the 20 stitches and 30 rows to 4 inches in both directions. You can see that it's definitely a bit of a tighter fabric. It's not quite as drapey if you're looking at it compared with the Finalgarn. It's a little bit stiffer. You can see that fold is a little bit stiffer. But you can definitely knit the vanilla sweater. When you get pattern gauge in both directions, you can knit the vanilla sweater with no modifications and come out with a sweater that is actually very close to the original sweater, but just a bit thicker. It's a bit more winter weight. It's a little bit woollier. It'll be definitely a little bit warmer. And as I said, not quite as drapey. But that's another good option, is to go with the Strickagarn and see what you can do. See if you like the fabric. I will note that this swatch was knit earlier and it was not knit in the round. It was knit for a different project. So it's possible my stitch gauge could be a little bit different, but I don't think so. It makes sense with a US 5 and a thicker yarn that you could end up with a similar gauge, but I was actually kind of surprised that you ended up with a fabric that works this well for a pattern like the vanilla sweater. So that's another option. So then I decided to keep going. This is actually a swatch of Retrosaria brusca, which we sell as a light worsted weight. It's can be considered a DK or a worsted weight. You can see sort of similar to the Strickagarn, but it definitely has, well, I mean, first of all, it has some veg matter in it. It's very woolly. It's very, it fills in the stitches really well, so it's definitely a more opaque fabric than I got at least with the Strickagarn. The stitch definition is definitely different. You can see the individual stitches a lot more in the Strickagarn than you can with the brusca. But again, I got very, very close to the row gauge and the stitch gauge. The stitch gauge was right on, the row gauge was a little bit off. It was a little bit small. So again, it's another option. It's another thing you can do with the vanilla sweater if you're looking for a winter weight one. If you've knit a bunch of Finalgarn ones, or Finalgarn or Tuku or any other fingering weight and you want to give something else a try, this is another good option for that. And finally, I just decided, why not? I've already tried Finalgarn and I've already tried Strickagarn. Let's try Vams. So Vams is actually Rauma's Aran weight yarn. It's usually knit somewhere closer to 15, 16, 17 stitches. As you can see on the edge, it's a very sort of fluffy, floofy yarn. But I also could get pattern gauge. Well, very close. I can't say it's pattern gauge, but I actually overshot and got 21 stitches and 32 rows. What I will say is this does not use Vams to its biggest potential. It definitely makes a more compressed fabric. It's definitely a stiffer fabric, even so. Like if you look, here's Finalgarn, here's Vams. It's definitely more sort of solid. It'll have more structure in the final garment. And you're not really using the fluffiness to its full advantage, but it's a pretty thick yarn. So if you're yarn to be getting this gauge at, actually. So if you end up knitting a vanilla sweater with Vams and getting gauge, I'm thinking it's more like an outerwear sweater. It's more like a jacket sweater. It would work really well to steek it. It's the same yarn that the Victory Cardigan is knit in, and you could steek it in the same way. It's just another way to knit the vanilla that comes out with a different fabric, with a different look, with a different thickness, that you really don't have to alter the pattern, or you don't have to alter it that much. So I just wanted to look at all these yarns and just show that you don't always have to knit with the same gauge, or well, no, you do have to knit with the same gauge, not with the same weight of yarn as the pattern calls for. These three are all fingering weight, fingering to sport weight. This one is a linen or linen blend. Then we get up into DK to light worsted, worsted to even Aran weight yarns, and you could actually get pattern gauge with any of these and knit a vanilla sweater. So I just wanted to show all of these different fabrics that I got, trying to achieve a similar gauge and the difference between the two, between all of them. The biggest difference is probably between, here's Jaggerspun and here's Vams, but they have almost identical gauge. So yeah, so that's what I did. I spent some time knitting with those yarns. Definitely still do your own gauge swatches if you decide to choose any of those alternate yarns for the vanilla sweater, because my gauge may not be your gauge on the same needle size and for the same yarns. The only other thing I wanted to say is that the vanilla fluff pattern actually has a slightly different gauge than the original vanilla sweater. So if you find a pattern or a yarn that you like, that you're actually getting somewhere closer to 19 stitches or 18.5 stitches, you may be able to follow the vanilla fluff pattern even without adding fluff and use the numbers and the pattern to make a vanilla sweater with a slightly larger gauge, even with any of the yarns that I've shown, or a thicker yarn, or the Studio Donegal Irish Heathers, or any things that are thicker or thinner. There are a lot of great options, and I just wanted to pop in and hope you enjoyed looking at all these swatches that I knit, and I hope you're inspired to think outside the box a little bit and see what else you can make with those vanilla patterns. Bye.
So hope you enjoyed that segment with Kelsey. I think it's fascinating seeing how different yarns act at the same gauge.
Oh, for sure. Exactly. But, I think it shows how perfect fennel garn is. I'm just such a fan of fennel garn. But yes, it is interesting. And I think going off on a little exploration of swatching, I feel very swatch shamed right now. I really should be doing more swatching. So yes, thank you, Kelsey, for that. That was really interesting.
I think it's a nice way to sort of date a yarn,
yeah,
especially if you're not sure, and just test it and see.
Yeah,
how
I like that it. Dating a yarn.
Yeah,
for a particular pattern too, though, because you can,
or even before that, I can see if you're not sure how, you like the yarn but you're just not sure. That's probably what I'm going to do with the yarn that I spun, is I'm going to knit it up a little bit and see
what it does.
Yeah.
And then decide what to knit with it from there. Yeah. No, it's great. That's what we should be doing.
I know. And we don't always do what we should.
And actually, I do swatch. I'm making out that I never swatch. I do swatch, but usually it's a sleeve. I will start knitting a sleeve in the round, and then I can see. But the problem is there are no sleeves on the Keris. That's what's throwing me off, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's a project you've not attempted in a while.
Yeah.
And
I should do that.
I would.
Yeah, I will.
It'll be interesting to see the swatch. I'm now looking forward to it.
Accountability.
You have a reason to get swatching.
I will show you all. I promise.
And honestly, you could be the guinea pig. I'm curious to hear how you're
purling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to hear that it's not as bad as I think it'll be.
I will definitely tell you one way or the other. I might be I'm knitting this in the round, I don't care.
And I think both ways are fine.
Yeah, so both of them will have challenges of their own. If you're knitting it in the round, you got to figure out what to do with the sides and how you get there.
Right.
And steeking. knitting it flat, you've got purling. So yeah, no, it'll be interesting. Watch this space. All right, so what do we have next, Maggie?
So we have a new book box that we've put together. So here, I brought one for you.
Thank you.
So
So your package arrives in this box?
yeah, so
Yeah.
these are live in the shop, and we still have a few left. They've done very well, but these are they're the Seaside Knitters Society book bundle.
Ooh,
And it comes
right off
with-
the back.
Here.
That you
So
get.
it comes with a woolly thistle tote, and here, I'm going to peel this layer off. Here we go.
Oh wow,
We don't usually hide you back there.
I know, but this is good.
It comes with 4 books, the first 4 books in the Seaside Knitters Society series.
Yeah,
It comes with 2 skeins of Yarnadelic
gorgeous.
in a variety of sizes. We get to pick the colors. And then it comes with, here, we can see now. It comes with a set of Seaside themed stitch markers. So we've got like a little seashell. And, oh, I like this one a lot. I like them all, but. the
Little turtle. Yeah, this has been doing really well, as
Yeah.
did the previous book and yarn pairing that we did. What was that one?
This one, it's a sand dollar.
Oh yeah, Sand Dollar.
Starfish.
Oh,
So it comes
nice.
with a set of 6.
All
and then it's seashell.
seaside themey.
Yeah.
And this author, tell us about the books, Maggie, and the author.
So the books take place in New England, and they're just the little cozy mystery series.
Yeah.
Krista, who works here, she recommended them. They also have a pattern that's included in each of the books,
Yeah,
and they're just a fun little series. Nice,
Yeah.
great summer reading. So
That's right.
if you're looking for a nice summer reading series and a little bit of yarn to go with it, which can never hurt.
and the Yarnadelic is a sport weight, and it's 100% Falkland Corriedale, which is soft,
Yeah.
soft and lovely.
It
So you
is.
get 2 skeins of that in 2 different colors.
Yeah. So,
and the bag as well. So yeah,
and
that's
it's a
been a
surprise
nice.
what colors you get. So I don't know if you want to see which colors are in this box.
Okay, let's hide Maggie then. Beautifully wrapped. Ooh, so yes, you get this lovely purple and this greeny color. Gorgeous. So really, they could be any colors at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very nice. Very nice. And I've started seeing them show up on social media. If you do that, thank you so much for posting your haul photos, your
Yeah.
purchases. It helps to get the word out there too, so that other people can see what the good stuff we have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and we have other things to show in the
We
shop.
do. Why don't you show the new book that's arrived?
So this is my first time seeing this because I wasn't here when it came in. This is Yarn, a journal of Scottish yarns. Like, oh my gosh. It's absolutely beautiful. It's thick and it's really well done. It's got lots of contents here, such as Threads and Time, Fleece and Quiet, which I thought was clever. Peace, War and Weaving. There's designer profiles, there's patterns, all kinds of good stuff. Beautiful photography set in Scotland near the water. Really interesting articles that I know I'm going to want to read. For instance, Peace, War and Weaving. I think that'll be fascinating.
Yeah.
And also they've got this Stitching, Loyalty, Embroidery, and the Jacobites.
Yeah.
Just fascinating.
Yeah.
Really. Oh, and then the Border Mill, which we have. Very nice. And
Yeah. When this arrived on Friday, we all oohed and awed.
yeah, and it smells really
So
good too.
this is issue number 1, and we were excited about it from the list of just what they were going to include. But actually seeing it in our hands, it's gorgeous.
It's really nice. And this Fleece and Quiet is about Iona wool, which Iona is an island off the west coast of Scotland. Yeah, so I think this is going to be a fascinating read for anyone who loves the fiber arts. And then of course there's the patterns as well.
And what's great about the patterns is it's a really good mix of crochet and knitting.
It is. And let's see here. And it's unisex. So good on him or her. But I think this is so fun. The granny square jacket.
Yeah.
Or top, actually. Well, one's a jacket, one's a top. There. Yeah, just lovely. Really, really nice. This is with cherries on tops design.
Oh.
Sylvia.
Yeah.
Really nice. That's a vest again, using some interesting
I
techniques.
like that. You put right back. This
Yeah.
one. I really like that.
Yep, that looks like old shell of some sort. It's called ChiaoGoo Cowl. Very, very nice. So yes, well worth it. And first issue. I hope there's many, many more.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's exciting. Before we talk about what's next, shall we announce another winner?
Yeah.
Let's have a wee looky here. There we go.
All right. And the next winner is Kelly Caffarelli. And Kelly says, what a full and fun episode. It's a great reason to have a long knitting session. I always feel like I'm sitting with good knitting friends as I watch. Love the postcards from Fair Isle and especially appreciated the update on Sweet Blossom.
Oh,
Can't
yes.
wait to see what your next blog will bring.
Aha. Well, yes, and you speak for many people. It was really good to hear that Blossom is doing well, and she's a good mama, no less. So,
Yes.
yeah, it's really special having Rachel sending in those postcards
It is.
from way up there in the middle of nowhere.
I know.
Yeah.
So, Kelly, if you want to email us at info@thewoollythistle, put prize winner in the subject line. We will get your $25 gift card to you.
We will. If you put it all in capitals, we'll find you faster too. And if you want to be in the drawing, just leave us a comment, sign up for or subscribe to the channel, and give us a thumbs up. That's all you need to do. We announce 2 winners randomly every episode.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, let's keep talking about what's in the shop, and then we'll go to Kim, who is doing tight hips and bums today. So, that'll be interesting for
Yeah.
sure. What else do we have in the shop, Maggie, that we want to talk about?
I'm going to talk about U.S.
Oh, yes.
We had
very
a
special.
restock of U.S. Come in,
Last week?
last week. I'm trying to
When
think
that
of
would
when
be.
it's going to air.
Yeah.
So, and with this restock, we also were able to populate kits for the Cyan sweater by Elizabeth Doherty.
Which is very
It
popular.
is very popular.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. So,
Yeah. So Uist Wool is a tiny mill on the island of Uist in the Western Isles of Scotland in the Outer Hebrides. And yeah, they use all Scottish wool in their yarns, and they have Gaelic names, which I do not pretend to know Gaelic at all, but I think this might be Jean, and that might be Siobhan.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure.
And our restock was mostly DK weight this time.
Yes.
So
Yes. So this one here is Storm in English.
I gotta say,
and
Calma.
Oh.
Whenever we get Calma in, I get so excited.
me too. I have this in my personal stash.
I know.
This is Hebridean wool, of course, 100%.
Is this in the collection part of the stash, or will it get knit?
Oh, it might get knit, but until then, it's in the collection because I love it. It's that
I
dark
like that.
chocolate.
My sister said something to me, and I'm like, it's the collection.
It gets you off. It's a get out of
It's
jail
just
free.
yeah.
Yeah. I collected it.
And then Sith.
And Sith, which is a lovely medium gray.
Look, you could see some veg matter poking out there.
Yeah, I just saw it. Where is
So
it?
good.
There it is.
Yeah. Some of us really like that.
I know. Somebody did comment, I got vegetable matter. We're like, hooray! Because why do we like
You're
it
a
so
winner.
much? I know. Why do we like it so much? It's because it's come from the land.
It feels so close to the sheep. Yeah.
Yes.
And then I don't know how you say that.
Contric.
There you go.
I'm sure I'm wrong.
So these, unlike all of these are 100 gram skeins, except this comes in 50 gram skeins.
Right.
So just be mindful of that.
Yeah.
And these are also the skeins that are used in the color work section of the Cyan sweater.
Yeah.
So
Lovely.
just gorgeous.
And Elizabeth Doherty is such a great designer. She does really interesting constructions, and our stuff fits really well. I know. So yeah, that's a great kit, and we have been selling quite a few of them. But we are selling the yarn by the skein as well.
Too, yeah.
So that's a nice one if you want to test it out for some really place-based yarn, soulful stash for sure. Oh, and of course, Frangipani for the Guernsey knitters.
Yeah. The combs were knit just a little while ago. You know, there's a Stephen West sweater. I'm trying to remember the name of it.
We'll put it here.
Begins with a B. But it looks very Gansey-ish, and I need to check the gauge, but I'm really tempted.
Well, so here's the thing. This is traditional Gansey wool. Is 5 plies and it's knitted at a tight gauge. But I mean, you'll see on the product page, you can knit any sweater with it at any gauge, and it comes up really, really nice. It's good for texture, you know, whether that's cables or...
Well, that's it. His pattern, his sweater is it looks very Gansey-ish. It has lots of textured stitches and different little panels, and I'm really tempted. I've got so much dream knitting going on in my head, and that's one of them.
Yeah, 100% wool, made in the south of England in Cornwall.
So, can you talk a little bit about why this is so good for Ganseys?
Well, I think because it's the 5 ply and it's tightly twisted, so it's not the softest, bounciest yarn that you'll have in your hands. But the reason Gansey wool is the way it is because it has
a little stretch.
A little stretch, but you're also going to knit it at a tight gauge if you're knitting a traditional Gansey, which were traditionally fishermen's sweaters, and so they were knitted at such a tight gauge to keep the men windproof and waterproof, because it would repel a lot of water and they'd stay dry. But then the women knitting the Ganseys started to put designs on them to maybe say what town they're from or what family they're from, and a very sad reason for doing that was so that they could identify the body if they passed, you know, if they went overboard and drowned or something like that. They could identify them from their Gansey sweater, which is just morbid. But really interesting yarn and an interesting tradition there. Definitely worth doing a deeper dive into at some point.
I do think too, like structurally, because we've got we've received some emails about this, so I think it's always just really interesting to let people know. So the 5 ply is going to make for a really round yarn, and it's a worsted spun yarn, so it's really smooth. Right. Which means that those stitches, any textured stitches, they're just going to pop.
Yeah, they are, and it's going to, I think it would be really fun to knit a Gansey, or maybe a wrap or something like that. There's some Gansey shawls out there.
I think too, I've seen, if you go to Ravelry and look at the projects, it's not just for Ganseys. Like there are some, so if you're not interested in Ganseys, although that's certainly where its heritage is and where it'll shine. Yeah. I've seen a number of different sweaters that people have knit recently with this, and at a looser gauge will make it, you know, easier on your fingers. And I think lace would really do well with that too, because it's worsted spun, it's going to hold that shape. It's a good all-rounder. It only comes on yarns, but on cones, but I can't remember exactly how many yards. Is it 12, 50? We'll put it on the screen. I don't see
it's a lot.
Yardage.
It's a lot. And we have pretty much all the colors available. And if we don't, we can get it for you, but I'm pretty sure that we do. And it comes in all different colors.
This is, it doesn't say the color name on it.
Oh, I wonder. That's interesting.
Yeah, the green, maybe it's just the red but the green is bottle.
Where does it say it?
This is it right there.
Yeah, but we're missing his sticker.
Yeah. So,
all right.
So those were recently restocked.
Yeah. Oh, shall we talk about this?
We shall talk about this. So, here.
Thank you.
Give you the little box. Sorry.
Brand new. Brand new. Maggie, where is this yarn from?
Ooh, this is from the Faroe Isles.
Faroe Isles. So it's 100% Faroese wool. We could go that route. Which is a Danish-held group of islands. So this has come from there, and literally by boat.
Yes, this yarn has been on an adventure. It literally came by boat.
To somewhere, and it took a while to get here, but that just adds to the wonderful.
And there's still a box that at time of filming is on its way. And so we don't have a couple of the colors that we know are coming. Okay. In the brush tradition. Okay. So we have both the brush tradition and the tradition.
And what's the difference, Maggie?
So the brush tradition is a sport weight, and it is 100% Faroese wool, but it's been brushed. So it creates a little bit of a halo. Could keep petting it.
It is like a little gremlin or something sitting here.
It
Little
is.
animal.
What is it? Josh keeps saying that it's like tribbles from
Yeah.
Star Trek. Which, if you don't know what those are, he's just Google like Star Trek tribbles.
We can put a picture here, maybe. It's warm feeling.
It does feel very warm. So the tradition is not brushed, and it's I want to say either a worsted or an Aran weight.
Yeah,
It's a heavier
a little heavier.
weight.
And you can
so
see
nice.
some, on the white, you can see some guard hairs. So this is rustic.
It is rustic.
Mm-hmm.
I picture this being fantastic for like a Lopi style sweater.
Oh, yeah.
And there are some patterns we can link to them. I'm sure they're linked on the product page.
Yep.
Or they will be.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Like, you know, some nice yoke.
Yeah, and there was a new pattern that was released by Wei Chen, who is the petite knitter.
Yep.
So not petite knits, but the petite knitter.
Mm-hmm.
She has a new sweater out, and I got so excited because it's gorgeous. And she recommends as an alternative yarn the brush tradition.
Ooh, sorry.
So
Fascinating.
that quickly went on my queue.
Yeah.
So
Do you manage your Ravelry like that still?
I do. I will add stuff to my queue. Some stuff's been in my queue for like forever, but a lot of stuff in the queue does get knit.
Yeah.
It's just a way for me to kind of keep it front of mind.
Yep.
Granted, my queue's got like 200 things in it.
I try to put things in favorites, and then I try to populate my queue from favorites. But, you know, rarely does it actually.
Stuff does go in favorites, but
Yeah.
that's sort of like I don't want to forget it for someday in
Yeah.
case I need to think about it. Whereas the queue, it's more.
You're
front
hot to
of
trot
mind.
for
Yeah.
200 things.
Yeah.
You might want to clear your queue a
Well, you
little, or maybe not.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. This actually feels, it'd be good for an outer sweater, you know,
Yeah.
like you'll want a t-shirt on underneath.
Right.
Yeah.
Which for me is very similar to Lopi. Like I need something underneath my Lopi sweater, but I love my Lopi sweaters.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I've had these sitting on my desk for a while, and I keep petting them.
Yep.
The
So-
longer they sit there, the more I really like them. I'm
And
eager to get
Krista
these.
that works here, and
Ruth, they
Ruth,
were both very
excited about this. So yeah, let's show them some colors.
Yeah, so let's see. The tradition, we have
This blue here. Well, we have some naturals.
We have some naturals. Oh, this is color 903. It's on the front label.
Okay, and that looks like a natural.
Yeah, it looks like a natural. A nice brown,
Mm-hmm.
brown, gray. We've been having more discussions about what's brown and what's gray in the
Yeah.
shop with the naturals because
Yes.
it seems very dependent upon how your eye sees it.
There's that, and I think too a lot of gray is made from mixing brown and cream, so it could be a warm gray a lot of the time.
Yep. The cream is 901. I really like that.
Like the gray.
You're like, ah,
Show the yeah.
shocking.
Don't leave it out.
902. It is really pretty.
It is, isn't it? There's actually a lot of different colors going into that, I think.
Mhm.
And you can see the guard hairs maybe. Yeah. Fascinating.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we have 902, which is this blue.
Oh,
939.
I was going to say this one's 902. All right, 939.
939, sorry.
Confuse me.
I
This
know.
one's 908. I like this green.
Juicy green.
Yep. I've got a darker gray. Or brown. Nope. I'm sorry. Brown.
Yeah.
My eyes. 906.
Nice.
Very pretty.
I see that. I do love a dark brown.
I know. 912. I like that blue. Nice navy.
Yeah.
913.
Nice green, dark green. This actually has some lamb's wool in it too.
Oh.
It's
916. Look at that red.
letterbox red.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is Faroese wool and English lamb's wool,
905.
which is a nice oatmeal-y
Yeah.
natural.
And last but
Ooh.
not least, 911,
Right.
which we can show you next to the navy. Like
Yeah.
it's nice. Yeah.
Mmm.
Mm-hmm.
Sure to keep you warm,
Mm-hmm.
I would think. So yeah, when are these going in the shop?
So right now we're set to have these in the shop this coming Tuesday.
Okay. All right.
So I'm trying to remember what day that is.
That'll be like the
I wanna
20
say the
something?
21st.
Yeah. So yeah, excited about this. We've been waiting for them to get here forever because they did take the long way round, which is just fun. They literally were put on a boat from Faroe. I think they might have gone to Norway or Denmark probably.
Yeah.
And then over
And
here.
then they made a stop in Maine for a little bit.
That's right. And then they were trucked down from, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Not the intended route per se.
No. But yeah, well, we have lots of pattern suggestions. There's a free pattern that uses this one. That's a
The
nice
traditions?
colorwork yoke sweater. It's gorgeous.
Do we link to that on the product page?
We
I'm
can
sure
link,
we
yeah,
do.
we'll link to it on the product page, and be sure to check out the Petite Knitter's new pattern.
Yep.
Winter Woods, I think is the name.
We'll
of
link
it.
to it down below.
There we go. All right.
Well, I think that's everything we have today, but
That's plenty.
that's plenty. And so we have to now turn over to Kim, who's doing tight hips and butts, and that'll be good. Bums. Hips and bums. And so enjoy that, but do come say hello. We have a Facebook group, we have a Ravelry group, we're on Instagram, we're in all the places as the Woolly Thistle. Come find us, join us. We're so happy to have you here, and we're excited about all the things we've got going on. There's a lot going on, and there's more to come, so stay tuned. But yeah, Maggie, I think all that's left to say is if you go out,
Take your knitting.
bye.
Bye.
Hi again, Kim here with Turning Ground Yoga, and I'm so happy to be back with you for another segment of Yoga for Knitters. Today, our practice is all about the hips, and we are going to be using a few props. So if you happen to have one of these, or two actually, two of these skeins of doesn't matter really what, but just something squishy and yarny and woolly and good, grab them. We're also going to be using either one of these little balls or one of these little friendly guys. This is one of my woolen dryer balls. I'm sure you probably have them too. So our practice is all about opening up the hips, which is a wonderful break to take while you're knitting. You know, you get a little sore, you get a little stiff. We do a lot of sitting when we're knitting, so some muscles get overused and some muscles get way too relaxed and they get out of balance. So the overused ones pull, the relaxed ones get pulled, and we get a little sore. So this practice is going to reset all of that. It's going to loosen up the tight ones. It's going to stimulate the loose ones, and you're going to be able to sit and knit a little bit longer. So whenever you're feeling tight, use this practice. I'm sure it will help. We're going to begin with our two skeins, the squishiest, less dense version of a prop. So take your skeins of wool, place them in front of you, come to all fours. We're going to do cat-cow, but we're going to do a cat-cow with our wrists in mind to give them a little support and a little love. So place your palm on the skein of wool and let your fingers fall onto the floor. So the weight is now a little bit different in your wrists, and you can feel a little bit more relief for those bones in the wrist. If you want to compare, take the skeins away and feel how much more weight is dumping just into that fragile joint. So this helps to protect the wrist joint. So once we're all set up, and you can move the hands forward and back as much as you need to until you find that happy place. And then inhale, lift the head, drop the belly, and exhale, tuck the tailbone and tuck the chin. Inhale, it's so good to do this with your eyes closed. Exhale, so you can really feel what's going on in your body. And as we progress through our inhalations and our exhalations, you can feel that stiffness in your spine getting worked away. Just breathe, move with your breath, and enjoy how much more pliable your spine becomes. I'll do 3 more, 2 more, Last one, I want you to hold it here with your head lifted and your belly dropped. Big deep breath in. Hold your breath. Squeeze everything in. Exhale. We're going to come into our final cat. Squeeze it in. Breathe it in. Hold your breath. And then let it all go. Good. So our spines have been unleashed. Next, I want you to grab either your dryer ball or your little ball. This is a ball of sock yarn. And we're going to work on some of the tightest muscles and some of the hardest muscles to reach our piriformis. So this is tiny little muscle in your butt. There are lots of muscles in your backside, but this one is the most irritating when it gets aggravated. So we're gonna massage it out. So if you're using the dryer ball, it'll be a little more intense. If you're using your sock yarn, it'll probably be a little softer. So you choose, and you're not gonna know really until you get onto this ball of yarn how sore you actually are. So you bring this ball right under your butt cheek, and then you move around. Oof, it's sore, that's for sure. You kind of roll your muscles around on that ball until you find the most sore spot. For me, the most sore spot is right above the bone. You can just feel it, and maybe a little bit more towards the tailbone. When you find that sore spot, hold it there for a few breaths, big deep breaths. These are releasing breaths. We're just breathing away that tension. You don't have to breathe out through your mouth, but I find it more effective. And then roll around and find another sore spot and do the same thing. Oh, there's one. And don't think of anything but releasing that tight sore spot. Perfect. Now, let's get a little more intense. Your ball is under your left butt cheek. Well, in my case, my left butt cheek. So I'm going to take my left leg, same leg, and I'm going to cross it over and put a little more weight. Gravity is going to put a little more weight onto the muscles that are getting some stimulation. Now, this is very similar to if you ever go to get a professional massage and the massage therapist decides to get their elbows involved and they're elbowing your bum muscles. This is very similar. And it's not very pleasant. It probably hurts, but the rewards are tenfold. You will so appreciate this once you finish. All right, so speaking of finishing, let's get off our ball. Whew. And be very glad that that side's over. Next side, place the ball under your bum cheek. Support yourself with your feet and your wrists, your hands, and just roll around until you can find a really sore spot. Once you've got it, breathe in and then let it go. With every exhalation, you're trying to release the muscles. Relax into it. Oh boy. Are you holding? That's what that exhalation's for. Let's find the next sore spot. Don't hold. You're holding, you're just augmenting that tension. Okay, here it is. Relax and breathe it away. One more. Perfect. And then we're going to add gravity into the mix. My right leg is coming up, crossing over the left leg. Roll it around until you find that sore spot. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm just going to have to pick one because there's quite a few sore spots. There we go. And breathe to relax and release. One more. Good. Let's come off of it. Well done. Look how squished that got. All right, come onto your back. We're going to rinse it all away now. We're threading the needle. So the left leg's going to come up, cross over the right knee, and then you lift the right knee up until you can reach your hands behind your right thigh. And that's where we hang out. Now, if this reach is too far for you, that's when you get a belt or a strap or a bit of tea towel even will work. I've done that. Depends on how tight you are today, right? And every day is going to be different. So wherever you are, strap yourself in, pull the knee towards your chest, and then gently and slowly start to rock side to side. Whew. So you're going to find some spots feel really good and some spots feel very tight still. I got one muscle that's so tight it feels like I'm strumming. I'm plucking that string. Ow. I'm plucking that string. But that's garden season for you. I'm going to be sore until probably October, but it's all for the greater good. Open your arms, and we're going to roll the legs all the way over to the right. Now, this is where your yarn may come in handy one more time. Let's say your right knee doesn't want to get all the way to the floor without your shoulder following. Well, I want your shoulder to stay on the floor, so instead, we're going to bring the floor up so that you can relax. I'm just placing this under the outside of my right knee so that you can relax into this twist. Does that make sense? You'll figure it out. I know you're smart. Use your props to bring the floor up wherever you need it to make those adjustments so that you can settle more comfortably into place. Take deep breaths. Massaging the organs from the inside out. Recalibrating the flow of our own life force, our prana. It all comes from breath. Beauty. One more side. I'm just going to flip around so that I can still see you. Oh, and let's see, that's going to be our right leg onto our left knee. Bring it up, thread the needle. Whew, that feels so good. And then rock gently side to side, rinsing away tension, strumming through those tight strings. Oh, heavens. For any of you who are musicians, you're probably thinking that those tight strings are a little sharp right now. I don't try to be funny. It just happens. Okay. All right. Let's bring ourselves over to the left. Maybe using your prop to bring the floor up so that your knee can rest down and your shoulders can rest down. Just breathe. Release. Let the tension go. I'm holding on to my foot because my foot wants to slide away, and I'd like to keep it where it is. One more breath. Perfect. And at this point, you can either enjoy a delicious Shavasana, like that, or you can go right back to knitting. Thank you so much for practicing with me again today. It's always lovely to spend time together. We'll see you next month. Namaste.